Hello and welcome everybody to week 1 of the winter split, I guess, winter spring of NECC Marvel Rivals. My name is Shibby. That's Ceebee next to me. I know you're not used to seeing us together. Usually it's Ceebee and Keg or Shibby and Vaudable, but a little bit of sub action. Ceebee, how are you doing today? We get to cast some collegiate Marvel Rivals. I feel like I've thought out like Mariah Carey.
I'm excited to get back into the saddle, cast a little bit of collegiate Marvel Rivals. Even if some dumb rodent somewhere poked his head out of the ground and said we got 6 more weeks of winter, it means we got at least 6 more weeks of winter esports here to NECC, and I'm ready to kick it off. I think it's more like 8 to 10 weeks. I don't know how long this semester is actually going to be, but I know it starts now, and I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah, we've got a solid matchup, or solid pair of matchups, before our first series of the day. We've got UAlbany Esports versus Trent Esports University, or Trent University. The rosters are below us. UAlbany, a bit familiar. We did have them on last semester on the stream here. Pick Tack, Marcus, Gabe, Cloud is Loud, Dark Magic, and Quenchable. On the side of Trent University, this is their first time appearing on stream. We've got Truly Katie, the Milkmaid, White, Pear, Caxel, and Amogus Fart. All right, that's best name, by the way, CB. That's my pick.
I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to do my best to not say their name at all. You feel free. Yeah, but you're going to be play-by-play, so, make sure if that particular player whose name shall not be spoken makes any big plays, you highlight that one out, and I'm going to omit that one from my analysis. But starting off with the analysis, let's go ahead and analyze this first map pick. We're going to Burn into T'Challa. We got the Celestial Husk and the Hell's Heaven bands. I know you were groaning at the idea of having to go to Hell's Heaven. Well, instead we get to take a little trip to Wakanda. Yeah,
I despise Hell's Heaven. Not my favorite map at all. The environmental changes are not cool. Unlike, though, Burn into T'Challa, I love the environment changes on this map. It changes actually how you attack it. There's some cool mechanics where you can fly up into the sky, and we've got MRC bans, which is the bans that we have been seeing for pretty much every professional esports tournament that's been happening in the past 2 months or so. It's 3 global bans for each side, and then it's 2 global saves for each side. Now, this is technically our first real competitive map, I guess, or competitive match on Season 6. Everything else has been prior to this. So what have you been seeing, CB, at least in the meta, unfolding at the higher ranks?
Well, it's kind of crazy because, we have had the community tournaments like the Boger Bash and the J3 Community Clash, where it's been, a little bit different. You get a mix of, pros and amateurs all kind of coming together, and then in those kind of situations, you get a lot of comfort picks, and I think this sort of situation here in Collegiate isn't going to be too different, but a lot of the things you're seeing right now, like a Hela ban and a Gambit ban, you're going to be seeing a lot of that in both the pro play, the mid-tier play, the ranked play, pretty much all across the board. Nobody wants to deal with the King of Thieves right now because despite the nerfs, he's still just that busted.
Yeah, and with him being out of play, we may not have to see Loki being picked up here. I don't know if we'll get a Loki ban. I don't know how tapped in UAlbany Gold or Trent University is. I don't know if we're going to be seeing some triple support compositions. The Jeff ban is actually a pretty good ban. A lot of players on Trent University's side have a pocket Jeff. Also kind of annoying to deal with, especially if there's a really good Jeff the Landshark on the enemy team. Enables dive very well, can heal from very far, has a really good game-changing ultimate when landed correctly. So I don't hate that. I think banning Comfort in Collegiate is the move. I know you have to ban sort of hard meta, but it doesn't go as deep as the pro scene. I think Comfort bans are where you should really target your focus.
And again, speaking of the pro scene, one thing that I have seen also kind of cropping up that we're probably not going to see a lot of here, and if we are, that Magneto Protect is going to be rearing its ugly head, is Cloak and Dagger. Since they got the change where they can double up on the Terror Cape, a lot more people have been bringing Cloak and Dagger to the forefront, and even before then, was kind of a comfort pick for a lot of people in the collegiate space. So I'm curious to see if Trent University want to come out with it, especially with an Invis Protect and a Mag Protect on the other side, because those are 2 of your biggest ops right now if you're trying to bring C&D. So I'm expecting more likely at this stage, unless this last ban is Loki, which it's not, it's Moon Knight, Loki Invis is the optimal backline for both these squads.
Yeah, that's what I would think, especially with that Moon Knight being taken away. The ricochet onto the Loki clones isn't as crazy. You do have the Phoenix being available, which in my opinion, CB is by far the best DPS in the game. I know Daredevil was for a little bit, but I feel like Phoenix bar none is just #1, especially if you can get that, Luna Snow damage boost coming in. It does look like we are going to see some triple support action though, and this is going to be from UAlbany's side.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Luna Invis and the Ultron. What's interesting is that Mantis also made it past the ban phase, and neither team is going to opt to go for that in this sort of triple strategist lineup. But nevertheless, you will definitely take it. You get 2 invulnerability ultimates, and then you also have the Rage of Ultron from Samzakai, who's going to be able to set the tempo using that either aggressively or defensively as needed. It's a great versatile ultimate, and that Magneto Protect, like I said, both sides come into the dance floor with their Magnetos, but Milkmaid on the Cloak and Dagger, that's going to be something that I want to focus on. Are we going to see the value of those Terror Capes, or are we going to see a dagger-shaped pancake in the pavement?
Yeah, I mean, with Dark Magic piloting the Magneto, those Meteor M's can be ruthless. I will say, though, as we've gotten further into the seasons, right, it's been a year now since Marvel Rivals has come out, the Cloak and Dagger players are evolving. They aren't just getting hit by Meteor M's anymore. They're dashing into buildings, they're understanding how they can juke it out, they're ulting in their cloak form. There's a lot of different ways you can outplay it here, but we do see this first, at least, poke fight coming out from Trent University and UAlbany, and there's that Bucky that I was talking about. Even without the, maybe Loki not being picked, still a very powerful pick. Lots of ways to disrupt and get picks, and, the pull is still a very lethal tool here.
A great job from Trent to be able to control the space there. Good hook, but the bubble is going to dodge the Trooper's Fist, so going to be able to live here. But Trent University in control of the point here, and with a couple more shots coming down range, Trent should be looking to hold on here, potentially even get this KO onto the Ultron, around him with the rest of the team. Not going to happen today, but an early staking their claim on the fight early here for Trent.
Yeah, those voltaic charges can be brutal. Picktack did go down early. That's why Trent University has already started picking up that percentage. 25% is really, really quick. That first fight win, absolutely crucial. Although Picktack does get a nice, kidnap into their team. Rage of Ultron, like you mentioned, does come in from Samzakai, but gets easily answered by Pair with that invisible boundary, and that's just going to be easy money for them. And now you see Call, as the Horn of Proteus does get dropped by White onto 2! That's 2 supports already down for UAlbany Gold, and you've got to get out of dodge. You've lost that fight immediately.
That's such a great way to turn a fight. Like, it looks so good for UAlbany off the back of that Rage of Ultron, and you're already taking down Truly Katie before you even let that one rip, but that Horn of Proteus taking down 2 backliners. Suddenly there's nothing more you can do but cut your losses and try and play for the next fight, but now you're going to be down that one crucial ultimate, that Rage of Ultron, so you have to try and use potentially one of your other strategist ultimates aggressively. There's other options here, but I think the optimal play is to try and go for an aggressive Fate of Both Worlds, just like Marcus is doing.
Yeah, we got to combo that Phoenix ultimate here. I would love to see the damage boost coming in. It pretty much nukes everybody. Armed and Dangerous, though, coming in from Call. Milkmaid as well, between both worlds. A lot of ultimates getting thrown, but Dark Magic actually ends up landing the Meteor M. I may have cast a curse them early, because this Cloak and Dagger, unfortunately, does not get out of dodge. And Quenchable and UAlbany Gold clean up the fight. And Ceebee, term I like to use from here on out, UAlbany Gold has to play perfect Marvel Rivals, because Trent University has 90% of the point already captured.
There is an opportunity for a Strange TP, though. That 90% gives you about 10 seconds to get that Doctor Strange out of spawn with the swap and get the portal on point, but it's not going to be an easy window to hit. And even more so than that, Trent University, what they do have to hang their hat on right now is that Sonic Seduction from Truly Katie. UAlbany Gold had to completely drain the coffers dry to get control at this point at all. So now all Trent has to do is take the initiative, pop that one ult. No, there's nothing that can stop it, and maybe even combo it with another Horn of Proteus. We've seen one big whale from White. Will we see another big white whale?
Yeah, Psionic Seduction plus Horn could be the deal breaker. UAlbany Gold, though, Samzakai does have that Rage of Ultron. They're already trying to potentially get on top of him before he can use it. Does end up popping it. Is trying to get bursted down. Horn of Proteus actually misses off to the side there, but UAlbany Gold already lose one of their strategists. Invisible Woman does go down, gets assassinated, and White takes down Picktack and Marcus as well. This should be a one fight for UAlbany Gold. As I say that, though, Quenchable has actually picked up Pair, and it's a 4v3 onto the point. Percent is still ticking for UAlbany Gold. Milkmaid picks up Quenchable, and finally Trent University are able to pick up the point. And just like you pointed out, Ceebee, Picktack has swapped over to the Strange. Last fight, last point defense for Trent University.
You can see the way that they're postured for it. Albany Gold were ready, or sorry, Trent University were ready for it. Quenchable going to take down Kyle. An early frag that is going to favor UAlbany Gold. They try and get this retake there, and Picktack with one onto Truly Katie. And I love this angle right now from White with those squids. UAlbany Gold going to find the flip, and White going to have to give this one up. But a lot of damage coming out, and again, Trent University doing a great job building up to these big money ultimates that they can use to try and win it. 1% left, and UAlbany Gold off of one more fight can potentially match it, but again, another uphill battle. The ball, it may not look it, but is very much in Trent's court.
Yeah, they open up with the fate of both worlds here, as well as the Meteor M unfortunately lands onto the pillar. The environment actually ends up trolling Trent University. Marcus is going to pop the ultimate, and Pick-Tack, big Eye of Agamotto, lands onto multiple members, and Trent University are going down very quickly, as we do see the Legendary being popped on top of the horn. That does take out one. I don't think that's enough, though. Nice Meteor M from Dark Magic, and they're going to take out Trent University. I don't know if they have time for the TP. Overtime is ticking.
And there ain't going to be a strange TP coming out from Trent University. That Meteor M getting caught on the environment was the death knell for Trent, and I don't even know if I agree with the idea to try and use that one aggressively. I would have liked to see them hold on to that one and try and bait some more resources out of UAlbany Gold and then use the Meteor M defensively. You had already invested the Eternal Bond in a very aggressive stance, and alongside a couple Terror Capes, more often than not, that is enough to either get yourself a couple elims or force out a couple resources. We saw that happen, but then you didn't have the Meteor M to try and punish that overinvestment that would inevitably come out from UAlbany Gold, so they don't have to invest, and now they get to come out with two big ultimates over onto the next fight. The momentum from UAlbany Gold right now, off just the back of that one little misplay, is through the roof.
Yeah, love that for UAlbany here. Samzakai has that Rage of Ultron, quenchable as well. Big DPS ultimate, a lot on their shoulders, right? 8 final hits. They are the sole DPS, and you don't have a Mantis, like you mentioned, damage boosting you. So you've just got to rely pretty much solely on your mechanics. You get the occasional damage boost from the Ultron drone if you're in the range of it. Other than that, though, a lot rests on UAlbany and Quenchable just consistently picking up these elims, which they have been doing so far. But Trent University have swapped over to more shield breaker-ish composition, although with no Magneto to bubble Caxel, I just feel like he's going to be fish food to Dark Magic on that Meteor M.
Especially with the, the high ground advantage right now. Caxel can't really play anywhere where he wants to, so under a lot of duress right now. Invisible Boundary is going to ease the pressure just a little bit, but we don't have control of the point yet due Trent, so now that Rage of Ultron going to come out. Good punish coming out from the Milkmaid, though, and that might be enough to secure the point, but they have to weather this storm, and a storm is indeed coming in the form of that End Song Inferno from Quenchable. Marcus is there with another cleanup KO as well, and Trent might have just been shunted from the point there. Again, UAlbany Gold coming into this fight with an ult advantage and able to leverage it as such and come out ahead.
My biggest issue with Trent is that they're so hasty on using these strategist ultimates. I get it. You want to, up the tempo. You want to try to get onto point. You want to force them off, get your team some healing. But now you don't have it for some of these big, offensive ultimates coming out from UAlbany. You would have loved to have that Invisible Boundary when that End Song Inferno comes down. But now you have to fight out of your spawn, out of here. You're going to probably have to invest a couple resources, and Pick-Tack flying in the sky around and looking for that Eye of Agamotto drop. I don't think UAlbany knows.
And they definitely didn't see it coming, but a good react from Marcus with the snowball there, finds the freeze and has the fate of both worlds to keep everybody alive. The dance floor is out, and White did not bring the tap shoes today, but Quenchable says, don't worry, I'll lead, I got you. And Trent gonna be led right back down the stairs, again forced into the choke, and that is one ult, and again, UAlbany able to hold on.
Sonic Seduction did come out from Trent University, but goes down pretty much immediately, and Caxel just has not been having a fun time here. Dark Magic does have that Meteor M available. They're going to have to be very careful when they walk out here. You need that Strange Shield. You need that Invisible Boundary. One of those two to help you out. Here comes Meteor M. Actually ends up using it onto Milkmaid. So Caxel gets a free Final Judgment, but it doesn't matter because Gabe responds in kind. You can't shoot what you can't see, and unfortunately Caxel is going in blind right now. Pops out the shotgun. Samzakai does have that Rage of Ultron available. Pick-Tack builds up another Eye of Agamotto. Unfortunately, doesn't land onto anybody. Finally, Caxel does go down here. UAlbany Gold, though, have maintained complete control of the point, despite the ult dump from Trent University.
There might be an opportunity for a TP, but no. Amoghasfart, I hate that I had to say his name out loud, but now he's got to open a portal, but he's not in a great spot to be able to actually get on point, and more importantly, get his team to the front line. Milkmaid tries to get there, but just gets cut down by Samzakai, and it's not looking good for Trent University. One by one, they're going to pour through, but as that portal is so far up, they have to just walk so far to even get the opportunity, but it's just a march to their own demise as UAlbany Gold just walk right over them, walk right over Burden T'Challa, and stake their claim they'll take map 1 seemingly with ease.
Yeah, round 1 looked a little dicey for them. Trent University got it up to 99%, but UAlbany, I'm just going to say it outright, they had better ultimate economy, right? They understood when to pop those ultimates, the Endsong Inferno, the Invisible Boundaries. It felt like when Trent was trying to use their ults, it felt very desperate. They were kind of just throwing stuff as much as they could and say, we'll just throw 3 or 4, and if we win, we win the fight. If we don't, we have to retry again. I felt like UAlbany was had much more intent on when they wanted to ult. And I think that was the big difference maker in this specific round.
Yeah, and then again, like, not having that Magneto the second time around meant that you don't have someone to bubble Milkmaid to try and go for those aggressive Eternal Bonds that we saw Trent University try and play a couple times. It worked out for them on the first point, but once we went to Stellar Spaceport, you know, we saw them go to that well once or twice, and it just got shut down by the Meteor M. It's the tale as old as time, and like you were trying to say earlier, like, you know, these Cloak and Dagger players, they're getting smarter. They know how to try and play around it, and Milkmaid definitely tried to, but sometimes you just need your team to be there to follow up, give you a shield, give you a mag bubble, give you something, but there was just nothing because the ult economy and the composition for Trent, it was all kind of scattershot there by the time we got to point 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a skill check, right? Can this Magneto hit this bubble on me every single time? And unfortunately for Trent University, Dark Magic had it every single time. I don't think I saw him miss a Meteor M. So well played to UAlbany. Like I said, yeah, I think you're right, Ceebee. Like, the composition from Trent felt very disjointed. They swapped over to the Wolverine at one point. Then they had the Punisher. I just don't understand the communication going into, because UAlbany didn't really change anything up. They came in with the composition. They came in with a team comp, and they said, you know what, you're going to have to force us off of this. You're going to have to beat us at our own game. At some point, Trent University has to realize, like, maybe we swap to triple, maybe we run the Mantis, maybe we go into more of a brawl-style composition, but it felt like everyone on Trent University were kind of playing their own individualistic game, and when you do that, I mean, when you face up against a team like UAlbany, who's been here before, I feel like you're just going to run into the meat grinder.
Yeah, and the meat grinder is wherever Albany wants to put it. You know, they're able to control the space so effectively. So many of those fights took place way far forward up at the choke point, and it was only in OT that we actually saw some of these fights happening on the point, and that's the mark of a good team. They understand that this game at its core is all about controlling space, utilizing your composition, your ultimate economy, all these resources to control the most precious of resource, and that is space. If the fight's happening way over here and the point's way back there, you got to get through the bouncers to even get into the club, my friend.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved with them being able to force those resources, because like you said, once you're fighting out of your spawn, once you're forced to cloak ultimate out or invis ult or something like that, you just get kited out, and like, what do? You just don't have any more resources ready to go. But I'm interested to see how they end up taking on this map 2 and what we end up going to. I feel like a lot of people default to something like Midtown, although we do get...
Yes. Not what's happening here today. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Usually you'll see like a Midtown or a Central Park be the next up on deck, but Symbiotic Surface is a real oddball pick. You don't usually see Clintar coming out until we're like 4 or 5 maps deep and we're in desperation territory and someone wants to go for some crazy sort of hold here. This is where I expect, you know, I'm kind of jumping the gun on the picks and bans, but this is another one where I kind of feel like one or both of these teams are going to want to try and reach for that Moon Knight ban. I guess one team, because it's universal bans, but still, which one of them is going to want to jump for it first?
Yeah, dare I say, I'm going to call my shot now. UAlbany maybe holds Trent University. Full holds on Clintar are absolutely, persistent. It happens all the time here. And the thing is, if Trent University comes out with some hodgepodge composition, a lot of time can get burnt, right? If you come in, it takes nearly 30 seconds to even get to that first point. You take the fight, it's another 30 seconds. By the time you've respawned, a minute and a half has gone by, and you're kind of looking at yourself going, well, what do we do here? How do we switch it up? How do we play this composition? Are they going to come out with an early TP? A lot of different ways to attack this map since it's been out since the beginning of Marvel Rivals. I feel like it's kind of figured out, but as we see new heroes coming in, new sort of strategies, we might see some different sort of compositions. I am hoping to see at least one Deadpool today. It doesn't have to be in this series, maybe next series, because I feel like it's very, very underutilized at the moment.
Which one you want to see? Let's narrow it down.
I am a Vanguard pool enthusiast. I've been spamming that this season, but I will have to agree. I think Strat pool is the best one out of the 3.
I'm kind of like 50-50. For me, I think Strat pool is the best, but that's just because I'm a Strat OTP. It's all I play is Strat, so, Like that Invis Protect from UAlbany Gold, that's what I'm reaching for every single time because I want to be on my girl Sue as much as I can, and if I can't, then sure. I'll pick up the Merc with the mouth, but I'm still going to be a healer. But I'm seeing a lot of people pick up the Vanpool and, you know, doing quite well with them because this kit does actually kind of play very well to that Vanguard style. But something else I want to talk about on the picks and bans here is I'm curious if we're going to see anything related to an Ultron ban perhaps, because we're seeing the Phoenix ban and the Hela ban coming out from both sides. First point Clintar is also kind of a decent spot for an Ultron or an other type of flyer, and if that's something that UAlbany wants to try and play again, you don't really have a lot of tools on the side of Trent University to shut that one down, so maybe you have to use a ban now.
Yeah, I mean, you have Punisher, maybe Hawkeye. That's really about it. Maybe a Psylocke here. There's the Moon Knight save, though, which I do agree with. A lot of good verticality for them to play with. A lot of good choke points. There's the mag save. I don't expect anything less. Maybe it's going to be a Hawkeye ban here from UAlbany. No, it's going to be Groot instead. I love that. I love that. I feel like Groot, insanely good tank. And then it's Moon Knight, right? Ceebee,
yeah,
like,
you see the Moon Knight coming out, you have to try and go for the group ban because you don't want to get hit with that Strangling Prison Hand to Khonshu Wombo combo. Like, that's just a team wipe waiting to happen, especially if you don't have a strategist ready to absorb it. And even then, it can usually just burst right through it. So, you know, good reaction there. Hey, you get your wish, and it's neither of the Deadpools that we thought.
Come on, Quenchable. Come on. There's no way you're going to flex the Lord in my face. Oh, my God.
I see, like, he's still kind of a new hero, so when I see the Deadpool Lord, I'm typing in the chat in game, I'm saying just get a job.
Yeah, touch grass maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Just go out and get employment. How do you have Lord on Deadpool already? Come on, there's like 3 people who've got it.
Maybe we'll see it. Oh, we are. Please, Quenchable. Please, please, for the culture, bust out the Deadpool right now. I want to see this. As they are going to be on the offensive side here. Trent University, they ended up saving that Moon Knight. I don't know if my eyes deceive me. I see a severe lack of Moon Knight on the defensive side here. I feel like that's where you're going to want to play it. There's really only 2 chokes you can come out of if you're UAlbany Gold, and Ankh into double Moonblade, and you're kind of cooked. Very interesting to see that they're not opting in. Instead, they're going to go for a full hold with this Penny. What's your thoughts on Penny, Ceebee?
I mean, I kind of missed the Rocket Network team up right away, which I do see Trent University also wishing was active right now. Those extra nests and some of those extra mines really made Penny like a good anti-dive hero, but since the nerf's not quite the same, but still, you know, still usable, especially here on Clintar. Good early frag coming out there from Caxlon to Quenchable there, who, by the way, walked out on the Bucky, didn't bring the Deadpool, uncultured, and got punished for it.
Yeah, I think that's where you look at it and be like, I should have just gone on Bucky. I should have just gone on Deadpool here, but Trent University, I like this kind of full hold composition. You're going to have to go through this choke point. I wonder if UAlbany Gold will discover that you can go right and not through main, and you can actually just attack from the high ground, which would be really good for them. Actually, you can take out the nest. Instead, they're just going to try to walk through and brute force it. I mean, a pull could be nice onto the Penny. That'll at least give you that pick, destroy the nests here, but there's a lot of stuff to wade through if you're UAlbany. You've got the nest, you've got the squids, you've got all this different stuff and junk you have to fight through as Cloud does go down here. And like I said,
the craziest thing to me right now is, you know what would counter this entire composition of UAlbany, or sorry, of Trent University right now, is Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Moon Knight would be really good.
And you even
here.
have the Storm, so you could damage boost him. You already have the Wombo combo, but even without it, you know, UAlbany is about to have 5 ultimates. We're going to see a bloody fight in this next one, but the question is, can Albany even get into the front door to kick that fight off?
Yeah, it feels like they're going to have to use this Storm ultimate maybe more offensively. Instead, they're going to look to combo the Luna and the Omega Hurricane. They're going to try to take the CYA out, and it looks like a double ult from Trent University. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, because that ultimate economy is going to be tough. Big Eye of Agamotto, though, coming out from Amogus, and that's going to take out multiple members of UAlbany. Caxel trying to do their best to take out UAlbany. The rest of the members here, Dark Magic is just looking to create some space. Big ultimate from Penny does come out here, but UAlbany, they're kind of coming into this fight fractured. They're trickling back in, and even though that ult dump happened, Trent University holds strong. Don't even give a single percentage point.
Yeah, but there's a big combo about to be on deck, but Cloud needs to live, but she just can't. White with the Trident is going to be able to find the KO onto the Emma there, and Quenchable also popped the Kraken Impact, so now you don't even have the combo. I was gonna say, Psionic Seduction with Kraken Impact, you can bust this point wide open with that, but now that's completely off the table, and we're back at a neutral.
And just like that, 3 minutes almost have gone by here. They're gonna go for this TP onto the high ground. Finally, they're like, hey, we gotta get an angle on these nests. We can't just walk through main. Pictac is building towards that Omega Hurricane, roughly at 80% right now. That'll be the big difference maker. But once again, Milkmaid at 70%, Pear at 80 on that CYA. White's gonna drop the horn onto UAlbany Gold. Big stun onto multiple members. Caxel ends up picking up the kill onto Dark Magic, and UAlbany's TP gets thwarted immediately. Here comes the Omega Hurricane, but gets answered in kind by the CYA, and Caxel says, you know what? I've got a Kraken Impact waiting for you. Milkmaid does go down. Quenchable does take down Caxel. This might be the fight that allows UAlbany to progress this further. They're trying to get percentage. CYA does not go down, goes to the full duration. Eye of Agamotto from Among Us takes down 2. Cloud and Gabe do get stunned, but unfortunately, nobody gets taken out. Now Cloud answers in response with his own Eye of Agamotto. And finally, UAlbany Gold break this point open. I'm actually very surprised that was possible, considering one of their members went down so early.
Yeah, but, I mean, they were willing to invest to try and make up for that loss in manpower. It was the Kraken Impact, which, by the way, Quenchable is going to have another one coming out here, and the Omega Hurricane inside of that tiny little cubby. And shout out to Pear, tried to counter with the CYA, but it just wasn't there with the rest of the team. Good stun onto Quenchable to shut the Kraken Impact down. We're not going to be seeing any of the resets, but we are going to be seeing Caxel getting hit with that hook there. Going to be res back up, but nevertheless, Trent still has to backtrack just a little bit here. Now Spider Sweeper going to be coming out from Katie to try and retake what was lost, but so much CC just getting booped and bopped around, forced back to the rest of the team. There we go. Now with Caxel taking out Quenchable, Albany is going to be forced to play back onto the cart, and Trent can retake this space, play in a safe spot, and take the fight on their own terms, draw that line in the sand.
I feel like it's a little bit rougher to make this penny work after the first point, but they're going to commit to it right now. Caxel, Kraken Impact available, Milkmaid as well, Invisible Boundary. White has built up another Horn of Proteus, and they're probably going to look for the damage-boosted version. Unfortunately, the CYA goes down before the Horn comes in, so no damage-boosted ultimate, no kills, and Pictac actually gets a massive Venomal onto the back line of Trent University. And at this point, I genuinely feel like you have to swap off this penny and at least go either anti-dive or potentially look to dive UAlbany Gold themselves.
And by the way, that Feast of the Abyss was damage boosted. Shouts out to Marcus for that Fate of Both Worlds, swapping over to the damage at the last second and ensuring that you could find 2 off the back of Pictac's ultimate there. Great team play coming out from UAlbany Gold, but as the ult advantage is at a neutral, they're gonna have to leverage more of that. I like this aggressive Eye of Agamotto coming out from Cloud. She's able to take down Pear, and the Invisible Boundary is just too little too late to save my little raccoon buddy, and now one by one will fall like dominoes. But Among Us, with a huge Maelstrom of Madness off the Eye of Agamotto on the other side, is going to even things up.
Both teams trading Eye of Agamottos, and unfortunately UAlbany do have to put it in reverse. Dark Magic trying his best to live right now. You have no supports with you. I would back up just a little bit. As I say that though, White does take down Cloud. Good hold from Trent so far. They've swapped over that double shield composition. Caxel and White, another round of ults available. Kraken Impact and the Horn of Proteus. This time around, though, Pear, when he pops that ultimate, the Horn needs to come down immediately, because UAlbany have been doing a damn good job taking out the CYA. Ideally, you want to use it, I was going to say, as Quenchable uses that final judgment, but here comes Quenchable looking to burst everybody down. Meteor M, unfortunately, is not charged up enough, and he just tanks it like the man that he is. Frank Castle eats those for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as UAlbany are going to push on through to the second point.
Quenchable stands his ground. That's what I call Castle Doctrine. I saw the vision there from Trent. Use the Horn of Proteus to split UAlbany up and then have Caxel go in with the Kraken Impact. And they were able to get 1 KO off of that, but they needed so much more. And that Meteor M, it just wasn't enough to try and augment that. But now as White taking down Quenchable is going to force more resources out of Albany if they want to keep this momentum going. Fate of Both Worlds coming out early. And again, they damage boost it onto Pictac and they find the Milkmaid. Sure, that's going to be res right back up, but Pear on a sliver of HP might not. Luckily, there is going to be some protection. Pictac not going to be able to devour his prey yet again. There will be more KOs coming one by one as Trent is in disarray and UAlbany are on a death march all the way to the end of Clintar.
Trent University just have not been allowed to reset here. That first point, at least the first part of this last point, easy walkthrough for UAlbany. Now they're halfway through. They're going to bend or come around that corner pretty soon. Amogus has been getting some really good Ayavagamotos. Same with Cloud. Both of them have been trading it back and forth. Ultimate economy advantage does go over to Trent. CYA comes in. Horn of Proteus needs to come in right after. Let's see if it actually gets anybody. Unfortunately, Cloud lands a massive 4-man Ayavagamoto. She is absolutely ripping through Trent University every single time here. Big KO coming in. Amogus has to respond in kind. Only lands onto 2, but it gets followed up with the Kraken Impact. Are we going to see some resets coming out from Caxel? No! Pick tack to bodyguard. That is needed for UAlbany. It's a 5v5 onto the point here. Milkmaid does have invisible boundary available. Marcus says, you know what? Let's push the pace up a little bit. Ultimate comes in from Luna Snow. In kind responds from Milkmaid. We're in overtime situation, so Quenchable has to swap over the Spider-Man. 53% on the ultimate charge. Maybe, just maybe, they can get that elimination. Is that a Spider-Man player I see in the midst? Takes down Rocket Raccoon. There we go. There's a little bit more tempo coming in. Cloud lands a good elimination onto Trent University. It's 3v5 right now. They're just looking to get this thing in. Eye of Agamotto from Amogus lands on the multiple, but there's no follow-up. UAlbany survived the attrition, and that's Caxel on the blade. He's trying his fastest to get in, but 3 points secured for UAlbany Gold.
It's the team play from UAlbany Gold. I got to give a shout out, by the way, to the healers, the backline. I already gave Marcus a shout out for damage amping these Feast of the Abyss to give Pick Tack the elims, but I also got to give a shout out to Gabe as well, because as a collective, with no ultimates online, the healers for UAlbany were able to weather the storm, keep the front line alive. They did lose Quenchable, which was a little bit unfortunate, but it wasn't a game-ending loss. It wasn't enough to stop the momentum. They just needed to keep the front line alive to force Trent University once again into a disarray of a defense, and they were able to do just that. And with 19k, or sorry, I'm sorry, the healing, 31k healing, 27k, you're seeing Marcus and Gabe coming up aces right now for the side of UAlbany. Sometimes, you know, it's not the ones that are coming up in the KO feed that are making the biggest impact, and right now, to my eyes, sure, I'm biased, but I gotta give it up for the strats.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job just comboing their ultimates. And Marcus specifically having the game sense to say, hey, we're gonna combo Feast of the Abyss plus my ultimate. I'm gonna damage boost it so we can get multiple picks every single time here. And honestly, on that last fight, that overtime, good job from Quenchable on that Spider-Man specifically to seek out the support, seek out the Rocket, and go, hey, this is the priority target. If I take this guy down, we'll be able to push on to this point. Really good game sense.
I was worried. On the rollout, he did bonk his little head a couple of times. I was worried he wasn't going to get there in time, but he was able to get there and find the Rocket, like you said. So good up there for Quenchable to be able to get there and keep that one going, help support the team when they needed it most.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's a high-impact elimination. As you see the Moon Knight coming in from White on the offensive, again, I think we both agree, Ceebee, would have loved to see it on the defensive side for both of these teams. No Moon Knight, though, for UAlbany. They're instead going to lock in Quenchable on that Punisher, and it's going to actually be a triple tank composition. I can't believe I missed this. Wait a minute. UAlbany pulling out some dark technology on the defensive side.
Yeah, and speaking of dark, I think you're going to want to try and switch off of the blade there, because I don't think he's going to be doing a whole lot against these three tank compositions here from UAlbany. You're going to get a lot of ult charge here from White, and you can maybe, confirm a KO eventually if you can stop losing your thing in the front line there.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand Caxel, as the Moon Knight does come in. Hand to Khonshu does hunt somebody. Dark Magic actually ends up going down. Caxel also has that team up available for the extra AoE, plus you get the anti-heal as Final Judgment does come in from Quenchable. They're going to try to burst him down, but unfortunately, that's not possible. We do see White, though, trying to farm another bevy of ultimates, already at 80%. Unfortunately, Quenchable does go down. Milkmaid is able to take him down immediately, and Caxel is just hacking and slashing, dicing away at the enemy team. And that's a lot of anti-heal being applied onto UAlbany Gold. Doesn't matter how many tanks you have. If you can't get those support ultimates charged, if you can't do anything about it, as he dashes in onto the Invisible Woman, Quenchable and Gabe are able to hold, and Caxel, I think, is on the wrong side of the town here.
Yeah, deep behind enemy lines. I doubt he's going to be happy with his position right now. And can he get out alive? He's going the long way, but Pick Tack is hot on the trail here. Oh, good dash there, but Cloak of Levitation. Pick Tack really wants to try and confirm this one. No, Caxel is somehow going to be able to get out alive, but I still don't think the blade is it, because even with the 1000-volt slash, they couldn't burn through the strategist ultimate. So, okay, 7 HP. Come on, you worked so hard to get out alive. You can't be throwing away your life now.
Just frontlining here. They do have the blade ult coming in. A lot of anti-heal can be applied, like we mentioned. Trent University, though, they have to make this work right now. Truly, Katie does have that Meteor M on top. Gabe with that invisible boundary. Dark Magic Meteor M here. Pick Tack on the Strange. That's a third Strange player, as Omogas actually lands a pretty solid Eye of Agamotto. Gets followed up by the hand of Khonshu, but Pick Tack comes in, lands another Eye onto the back line of Trent University. Multiple members go down, and again, we just see Caxel slicing and dicing his way, but he doesn't really hurt that bad. It's kind of like a mosquito hitting these tanks.
Yeah, like, even, again, you know, he's able to build up to another 1000-volt slash, and sure, like, it does apply a lot of anti-healing, and you can potentially burst on through, but only if you have focus fire from the rest of your team, and the rest of the team was already dead before they even walked through the front door. They couldn't fight into Gabe's invisible boundary, and now, going into this next fight, there's going to be a Fate of Both Worlds from Marcus, who gets the better of the exchange between themselves and Pair, and now here we go, the hands of Khonshu. This has to be the fight for Trent, not 2. It very well might be, but Quenchable? Well, doesn't matter what Quenchable has to say, because Caxel has an orb for you.
Unfortunate. UAlbany Gold just a little too slow on that ultimate usage. They came out, matched the Fate of Both Worlds. I don't think this TP is going to be able to come in. Surely UAlbany swaps off this triple tank composition and we just see a standard 2-2-2. Because at this point, you are just farming Moon Knight ultimates if you're white here, right? Because you've got 3 big tanks to bounce the blades off of. Quenchable's relatively immobile. Onks are doing a massive amount of, you know, heavy lifting when it comes to bouncing and ricocheting off multiple members. As I say that, though, he does go down. My bad, White, my bad.
It is a triple shield composition, so there's a lot of shields to try and chunk through to even get those crescent darts on point here, but Quenchable has no such obstruction. He can just fire down range, find a couple easy KOs, got another one there, Axel with a headshot for style points, and UAlbany able to hang tight. And, you know, again, like, you can build up these ultimates really quickly if you're able to get past not 1, not 2, but 3 shields. But it's a tall order even for, you know, even for a Moon Knight.
I'm getting flashbacks of a very dark time in a different game here as we see 3 shields being locked in for UAlbany. Quenchable does go down, though. Caxel hits him finally, and that's a lot of damage. That's actually your only real big source of damage being taken out here. Hand of Khonshu does come in. This Eye of Agamotto unfortunately lands onto multiple members of Trent University. Omogas, though, has building up towards his nice takedown from Cloud onto Caxel. White ends up taking down Gabe. It's a 4v5. Trent University on the offensive at the moment. Omogas says, you know what, let me pop this Eye of Agamotto. Gets responded in kind by Marcus with the Fate of Both Worlds, so they have to go on the offensive now. They've got to drive Trent University back. And by the way, that's another Hand of Khonshu farmed by White. Once those shields start to go down, like you mentioned, Ceebee, it's free money for White right now. 2 Hand of Khonshus in less than 30 seconds.
There's a Meteor M coming out from Dark Magic, gonna go a little bit wide. It's a 7-10 split there. Good hook in the Trooper's Fist as well, forcing out the mag bubbles, but there's just too much pressure. And Katie's there with the cleanup, taking down Dark Magic on the Magneto. And like you said, that's another shield down, 1 less obstruction for White to try and build up to another hand of Khonshu. But looking at the ultimate for Trent right now, they don't need it. But Albany, they have to start investing theirs. Invisible Boundary is gonna be coming out on both sides. Quenchable with that Final Judgment is able to take down Katie from the sky, but there's that Hand of Khonshu, like we were saying, and Trent coming out ahead on this fight.
I mean, surely you just saw this Moon Knight farm 3 Hand of Khonshus in your face, and you're gonna go, we need another DPS threat. We need something to at least dive him or dissuade him, because White is just picking up free real estate. TP does come in, but unfortunately the point already gets captured. It's a waste.
And the swap out of the Spider-Man as well. Like, Quenchable is not on a comfort pick anymore. Cloud is, you know, not at all where she wants to be. The rest of the team is going to be there to try and help the contest, but that means you're basically going to give this fight up. And you can see all of Albany on the back foot right now as Trent just continue to press their advantage. A Bionic Hook is going to force Cloud out of position. She's on 1 HP, and Katie is happy to take that.
Yeah, and another stagger coming in, another 5v6. Caxel, Kraken Impact available, looking to combo it probably with this Eye of Agamotto. Among Us, they know what you're trying to do. You're shifting to the side after frontlining here. You're actually going to get your Eye of Agamotto absolutely interrupted. Nice pull from Quenchable there to interrupt it. Marcus does pop that Luna Snow ultimate just as a kind of response Caxel, though, truly Katie does pop the Rage of Ultron, gets taken down immediately. A nice headshot from Quenchable. Another hand to Conchu, unfortunately this time doesn't pick anybody up. Quenchable says, you know what? Let me go deep with the Kraken Impact, and gets punished immediately with no support from the team. White and Caxel are proving to be a formidable DPS duo. Trent University are just pushing UAlbany back.
3 off the Kraken Impact, and Gabe is not going to be there with Invisible Boundary. It might be very late to the fight, and that Eye of Agamotto from Amogus that got canceled early on, well, it's back online because getting it canceled only brings it down to 50%. So if Amogus can catch himself onto Gabe, it might be enough to confirm this one. A nice freeze coming out, though, from Marcus, the Invisible Boundary, but it's not on the point. Amogus just holds the door, stops Albany from being able to get back on, and they're going to force extra innings on Symbiotic Surface.
28 seconds left for Trent University versus the 0 that UAlbany had. A very close match between both squads. UAlbany right now just does not have an answer. They don't know what to do about this Moon Knight. Like, it simply put, he's farmed like 7 ultimates that game. Or just, sorry, that round.
And the Eye from Amogus that came out early on, the one that you said got canceled, it still forced the Panic ultimate out of Marcus, so you're down 1 strat ultimate, you're banking everything on that Invisible Boundary, and in all of the chaos, Caxel is able to take her down. So Albany, like, Moon Knight or no, Amogus went in and made a huge play. It looked like a colossal failure, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, getting the right answer with the wrong formula. Like, all right, well, I mean, you still did it. Like, the Eye of Agamotto didn't land, but you forced the support ultimate, so
it doesn't matter how we got there. We got there. It's the destination, not the journey.
Exactly. For this specific point, yeah, it is. And, you know, shout outs to Trent, you know, finally tapping into that Moon Knight that they say 40-7, 14 finals. I mean, Caxel's also doing a very good job. It just doesn't look as flashy, right? The scoreboard doesn't look as amazing, but both of these DPS on Trent University side have been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Quenchable's trying, but again, I'm just not in love with this single DPS composition. Like, a lot rides on Quenchable's shoulders, and look, he did it last game, but this time around, you're facing off against a different beast. You're facing off against a different kind of composition, and Trent University just seemed to have your number. As I say that, though, nice early teleporter here onto that high ground. They've dropped already, though, so they've given up the high ground. And truly, Katie swapping over that Loki, I feel like a bit of a mistake, considering that Moon Knight is in the game.
Yeah, but I mean, they wouldn't have predicted Quenchable to make this swap, nor would they have predicted the Strange TP, but here's the problem. UAlbany have to win this fight because they don't get an opportunity to use that TP for an overtime push now. And there's White with a hand of Conchu already. If you lose even a single member, it's over, but they're able to take down Katie and the Milkmaid as well. White's gonna trade out his own life for 1, but this is so good now for Albany.
Quenchable didn't farm that hand of Conchu as fast here. There's a couple members, a couple stragglers from Trent on the backside here. Maybe they're looking for a TP coming out. Amogus, though, is 1 second away. I actually don't think they're going to be able to get this off. So UAlbany are going to capture that first point off a very aggressive TP. And yeah, I was scared because White farmed that hand of Conchu very well. I just unfortunately misplaced it, unable to get anybody. And in all that chaos, Quenchable is able to find Katie on that Loki with a nice Onk Moonblade combo, which opens it up for them.
Now we're off the Loki, now we're on the Ultron. Katie knows that you can't stay on Loki up against a Moon Knight. And that Moon Knight, by the way, is now farmed to his own hand of Conchu, so Quenchable can be the playmaker here. Trent, despite being in disarray, do have some tools of their own, but they're going to have to be perfect with them. Amoga's going to have another huge Eye of Agamotto if we're going to see Trent able to come back here. He's going for it, but he gets frozen up by the other side, not able to complete it. And there's that hand of Conchu to try and break all of the strategies coming out from both sides.
Okay, let's see if we can actually see anything here. A lot invested from UAlbany, specifically an Eye of Agamotto from Cloud lands onto multiple members. It's just better. Amogus goes down, and UAlbany are going to get even more meters. They might even just get the second point. A lot was invested, though. Rage of Ultron available for Katie. Pair has the Between Both Worlds. Surely, with the ultimate economy advantage, Trent can at least stop this locomotive that is UAlbany.
The win condition here, though, is you have to try and use Rage of Ultron to hopefully bait out that Meteor M. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the only real thing you can do right now. But Katie forced to try and take the teleporter back with the rest of the team to get healed up, but Quenchable is able to clean that one up, and now UAlbany have all the momentum as Quenchable takes down Caxel as well. The Moonblade not going to find its mark, but Quenchable is still on the prowl. Fatal World's going to come out from Pear. Trent University looking to try and hold on, but now Dark Magic has an opportunity to leave a splat in the dirt in the shape of the Strategist, and UAlbany with 4 in the KO feed are going to get point 2, and Trent can't do a damn thing about it.
Quenchable on the Moon Knight. Anything you can do, I can do better. Actually,
he's
is a
still
Lord.
doing it.
Yeah, it's a Lord Moon Knight. Why didn't you play this last half? What? Why wait until overtime to bust it out? Unless this is some convoluted plan from UAlbany to break Trent University. White, though, does have that Hand of Khonshu available. Amogus hopefully doesn't get their Eye of Agamotto canceled this time. Maybe make it a little less obvious. Don't just fly into the sky. Try to, like, sneak around potentially. But UAlbany still pushing through. Pick-Tack, Rage of Ultron available. They can go for more. I mean, Trent University just don't have an answer. As I say that, Quenchable has already farmed nearly 85% towards this Hand of Khonshu. Rage of Ultron finally taken win by Pick-Tack. Eye of Agamotto lands onto nobody. It whiffs. Amogus unfortunately can't land. Caxel does get the Kraken impact, but that's a Charlie Niner from UAlbany.
All right, so maybe the Hand of Khonshu from Trent didn't actually find what it needed to, but it did force UAlbany to evacuate the dance floor, and with only a little bit left on the overtime wick, it does burn up, but that's still a crazy push to get off of just 1 minute. They've set themselves up for a win condition. Basically, now, despite having the better time bank, Trent have no choice but to match it and then do it, but better.
Yeah, and right now, Quenchable has been doing the Moon Knight, but better. Like, I was singing White's praises, and he's still been doing very good, but, I mean, Quenchable with the triple support, he can play as aggressively as he wants to, especially with the Ultron drone, plus the occasional damage boost you get by using some of your abilities if you're Pick-Tack. Like, Quenchable is just a roided out Moon Knight. Like, that's really what it is.
As soon as he swapped to that Moon Knight, by the way, he doubled his damage. He was at like around where Pick-Tack is right now, that 28k mark. Now Bro's up at 43. He's catching up to White, who has been on that Moon Knight the entire time, says, I'm coming for you. I see you up there with 68k. Yeah, you're really putting a hurting on my front line, but I can make you hurt too.
Yeah, and now the question comes in, as I say it, does Trent University try to run a triple support composition themselves? It looks like they've swapped over, but the big difference is that it's a single tank composition for Trent University. I don't particularly love single tank on the defensive side. I think if you're doing offense, if you're pushing, single tank is workable, it's doable, but I feel like you just get walked on if you're Trent University.
It's an interesting composition, though. Trent on the offensive here with that single tanks, Doctor Strange, and the triple strategist with the rocket. It feels a little bit more defensive in nature, but you can tell they're afraid. They want that BRB. They want that extra life so they can have another crack at this. To me, this is signaling they do not have confidence in their ability to win this first fight, and you can even see they're kind of hesitant. They're just walking up the choke again, not going for an aggressive TP play, not trying to go for any sort of crazy flank. They're just hoping for the best right now, and this is where a team like Albany can punish the hesitance. They can take the fight to Trent University, but not before burning out the clock to make sure it is their last fight.
It's already 40 seconds. Mind you, Trent University had a minute and a half. A minute has already gone down, and they haven't even actually walked past the halfway point of this main corridor. Quenchable is looking to drop the Hand of Khonshu. They both trade, White as well. An individual go down here, but truly Katie actually ends up rezzing Caxel, so it's a 6v5 for Trent University at the moment. But does Trent know? Are they aware that they have a man advantage? Because you've got to play aggressive. You've only got 15 seconds left on the clock. Pear pops the Cloak and Dagger ultimately. We see Caxel with that Kraken impact readily available. Pick-Tack, Rage of Ultron, and we do see Trent University actually able to push on in. Nice, Armed and Dangerous. It's going to reset onto UAlbany, and unfortunately they're going to have to give this point up, but a lot was invested from Trent. Nearly everything other than Amogus with his Eye of Agamotto at about 4% until he gets the ultimate.
White's going to be building up to another Hand of Khonshu. We've seen Trent University try and go for this combination several times. They've got to shake off the overtime jitters and be able to land it at least one more time and hopefully catch on to both Gabe and Marcus with it, because you got two strategist ultimates for the side of Albany. They can afford to invest one, lose a fight, and still have another to deal with whatever Trent brings to the fight next. They have to be perfect here, but Gabe finds White early on. It might be over. That could be the harbinger of the end. Silent Seduction now coming up from Cloud. They smell blood.
Getting really aggressive at the moment. Amogus has that ultimate available, but Quenchable is just putting people into the dirt right now. Aya Bagamoto lands onto 5 members of UAlbany, but there's no follow-up. White is only able to take down Quenchable. It's a lot of damage taken out from UAlbany, but Gabe with the invisible boundary is able to respond in kind, and the overtime bar is slowly ticking away. I don't know how much longer Trent University can contest. They do have close spawns. I just don't think it's enough. It's at a sliver right now. Trent University, though, they haven't farmed any ultimates. Dark Magic does have that Meteor M available. They can put the nail in the coffin right now. Cloud is loud and Marcus take down multiple members. Trent University is falling like flies. They're contesting. White on the Venom has swapped over to maybe give his team a chance. Quenchable has swapped over to the Spider-Man back. And there we go. The last sliver of overtime gets taken down. UAlbany take it 5-4. And they're up 2-0.
You gotta say, Trent were hoisted with their own petard right there. They protected the Moon Knight. They had White play the Moon Knight, and then Quenchable says, hey, this Moon Knight character's pretty busted. Maybe I should have a crack at this one. As soon as he does, Albany shift into another gear, and Trent just can't seem to keep up. You keep seeing these Aya Bagamoto combinations trying to come out, but it's so well scouted from Albany because they know how to play these sorts of heroes. They know how to set up these sorts of combinations, and Quenchable doesn't need the setup. He just needs to drop the hand wherever he wants, and he knows he's going to find pay dirt with it. That is the mark of a real Renaissance man. I mean, finishing things off on the Spider-Man, spent some time on, I believe, the Bucky as well. Homie played a little bit of everything, and again, nearly completely caught up to White's damage off the back of that Moon Knight pick. That's why you're seeing a lot of him banned in ranked right around now, because he is busted.
And that's without like a consistent damage boost, right? Yeah, sure, Pick Tack on the Ultron can occasionally damage boost the Moon Knight. Pair that up with a Storm, potentially a Mantis that was let through, and that Moon Knight becomes doubly lethal. Very, very well played from Quenchable. Again, my biggest question for UAlbany, why not just swap to it at the half instead of making us go into overtime? But keeping things exciting, I don't mind. The other big thing is, a lot has been on Quenchable's shoulders so far this series. The sole DPS, they've been pretty much running triple support every single time, and they have stepped up to the plate. My question, Ceebee, is does Trent University even try to copy that? Do they have the firepower to run that singular DPS and maybe match 2-1-3?
I mean, I really don't think they do, to be completely honest with you. I think they just kind of have to stick with the 2-2-2. Maybe they try and go back with the triple strategist, maybe with a single Vanguard lineup, but you can't really risk doing that because then you just kind of leave the field wide open for someone like Quenchable to play whatever he wants. I will say, looking at the scoreboard, they did a pretty good job at most of the time of punishing Quenchable, finishing with 16 deaths, but 51 eliminations for Quenchable. Yikes, a bit yikes on that one, but you know, still 16 deaths. You can punish this guy. You can put him down. You can try and make some plays off the back of that. For me, though, it's the backline of UAlbany that is making up the difference. I shouted them out earlier on, but Marcus and Gabe are coming up clutch with the aggressive plays, whether it's going aggressive with the Luna Snow ultimate, trying to damage boost the Venom ultimates, whether it's, you know, just being pixel perfect with the invisible boundaries. When you're playing these double immo ults, you can use one aggressively and then save the other for whatever the other side wants to come out here with. And if they can't get that Moon Knight combination off to burst through it, you're good. You know, you've always got something ready for the next fight.
Yeah, I think just going back to the point we made even in, match one, UAlbany's ultimate economy is just so good. They're very, very efficient, I think is the word I want to use for them. They know what to do. They know when to pop what they need to pop, and they have very decisive ultimate timings. Whereas Trent, they did get better from match one to match two, but towards the end, it kind of began to unravel where they were just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something sticks. And unfortunately, that's not really a viable strategy in Marvel Rivals, at least when you're playing in a more competitive, coordinated environment. You might be able to do that in ranked, but this is a different beast.
Yeah, you can't just be, showing up to NECC against a team like UAlbany and still just be trying stuff. You gotta have some strats on lockdown. And I think there was a sound strategy, trying to go for the Moon Knight play there. But when you're going up against a team again like UAlbany, they're ready for that kind of strats. You can't just brute force a team like that.
Yeah, well, we are going to go to a very short break as we potentially hope for Trent University to get things back in order and potentially send us to a map 3 or map 4, or this could be UAlbany's clean 3-0 for the first week of NECC Marvel Rivals. Like I said, we're going to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly. Hello and welcome back, everybody. I told you guys it would be a very short break. Currently, if you're just tuning in, this is week 1 of the NECC Marvel Rivals winter/spring season. I'm Shibby, that's Ceebee. Currently, UAlbany Esports is up 2-0 against Trent University or Trent Esports. Although Trent had a pretty solid convergence map, all things considered. The fact that they got 2-0'd on domination to then take UAlbany to overtime does lead me to believe that we may be going more than 3 maps.
We very well might be. The third map, though, on deck is going to be Midtown, and it's a little bit of an oddball here. Usually we see this one in the second slot here, but instead we took that little detour to Symbiotic Surface. Midtown is one of those maps where I think, because it's just so straight shot, straightforward, again, things like the Moon Knight tend to come into the fold alongside the Groot, but it's one of those maps where an underdog team can kind of flip the script, start getting that momentum on their side, and start to try and take things to a third, or sorry, we're already at a third map, a fourth map, and a fifth map, and so on and so forth. For UAlbany, I mean, they're looking to try and start the season off on the right foot. For Trent University, they're trying to still get their feet underneath them. This is the place to do it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whose curse is stronger between us, Ceebee, because almost every single match in NECC last season went to map 5 when I was with Vaudeville. I understand from your experience, you had a lot of 3-0s, right? Like a lot of maps were quick.
Yeah, the janitors don't need to come around when me and Keg were in the building because we had plenty of sweeping already happening on our watch, all right? The floors were so clean you could eat off of them, but I want things to get a little bit messy with these two teams. I'm glad, by the way, this is our first series that we get to cast here on NECC because these two teams, right? This is Division 4, but these two, I legitimately feel like they're both better than some of our Division 2 teams even. The skill level for these two squads is just off the charts.
Yeah, UAlbany at least definitely plays like a Division 2 team, especially with some of the strategies they're running, right? As you get lower into divisions with any game, right? It doesn't have to be Marvel Rivals, can be League, can be anything on the NECC menu. Lower you go, the strategies tend to be a little bit more devolved. The play becomes a lot more individualistic. But UAlbany just look like a well-oiled machine. And as I say that, they miss a ban.
But they don't miss a protect. Okay, so we've seen the Thor ban come out in the past 2 maps from Trent University. This time, UAlbany are not going to let them get away with that. They're going to protect the Thor, and that kind of makes me think, hey, maybe there was a pocket pick that we didn't really scout out, but Trent definitely did, and they were trying to shut that one down, but they can't afford to try and keep waiting until the end to ban him out. UAlbany going to seize that opportunity. Speaking of the opportunity, that Moon Knight protect coming out from Trent, we see a lot of Moon Knight on Midtown, but the Groot ban coming out again from UAlbany, scouting that one out, making sure if you're going to play the Moon Knight, you are not going to be having that combo.
Yeah, and, Trent University scouting might be as good as mine because the person that is the Thor player is quenchable for UAlbany. 400 games on Thor. Like 400. Like, that guy is a Thor player. Loves Thor, loves playing it, so, I get it.
Considering how good he's been on the Moon Knight, on the Bucky, on all the duelist roles, do you really want to force him to play those sorts of heroes? Maybe letting him on the Thor is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, maybe he's like, I can't not pick my favorite hero of all time in Marvel Rivals. So did you see the Winter Soldier being protected here? And there we go, our first Gambit being left through. Trent has to ban Loki here. I genuinely think they have to ban Loki. I don't think the Moon Knight into Loki is worth giving up Loki Gambit.
I think that's what it's got to be. We'll see if what it comes out here with. The suspense is kind of killing me because I want to see. So I've spent some time with some pro teams in scrims. They have a code word for the Loki Gambit backline. They call it slop. That's completely true. They say, let's play some slop. They're gonna ban the mag. Get ready, fill up the trough. Let's eat some slop, boys.
Oh, I mean, it's just gonna be whichever team runs Loki Gambit, and then the other team's gonna be like, wait, they're running Loki Gambit. We need to also run Loki Gambit. Like, you can't beat it. I've seen every combination under the roof try to beat it. Nothing really compares. I actually genuinely don't think this Moon Knight is going to be enough. I will be surprised if we don't see any slop, like you said, Ceebee, but it looks like right now Gabe is going to run into the Cloak and Dagger. Quenchable is going to be on their Thor. And I feel like Quenchable, the fact that they're running this triple Vanguard, I feel like Quenchable plays Thor like a DPS.
It's possible, by the way, that the missed ban from Albany was low-key, because I know sometimes, you know, teams will kind of have a gentleman's agreement where they'll just, like, be like, oh, no, I missed a ban, and they'll just kind of, like, type it in the chat, and the other team will be like, all right, that's chill, that's fine, that's whatever. But nevertheless, I talked earlier at the top of the show about Cloak and Dagger. The mag ban coming out does now mean that it's going to be a lot easier to get those Eternal Bonds off, and you're going to see a lot more aggressive plays able to come out from both sides. Gabe and Milkmaid both reaching for that dynamic duo.
And that mag ban is pretty much specifically targeted towards Dark Magic, right? Like, just a killer on the Magneto so far. Allows Milkmaid to play the game. And Quenchable and UAlbany are going to rock with this Angela Thor comp. Now, I have seen something like this early on when they both came out. A lot of teams were trying to run like a triple Vanguard composition where they ran Angela Thor and they were just kind of like diving your backline. I suspect this is going to be something very similar, as Quenchable on this Thor is taking no prisoners. Omogas just goes down immediately. Dark Magic does get traded out in the meantime, but Quenchable once again, why did you guys give this Thor? That is insane!
It's just disgusting stuff. Like, Trent are just in disarray, and it's just like connecting the dots. Quenchable just goes from one to the next to the next. White gonna be able to trade that one out for Pick Tack, and Quenchable has to respect it. But as the cart rounds the corner, he doesn't even need to have his Angela there to be able to take a duel with Katie on the other Angela, and Mjolnir leaves a dent in Katie's skull.
The moon comes in, unfortunately, does not matter, as Quenchable only knows one key. I don't think he has the S key bounded. I think he's only pressing W at the moment, the way this Thor is moving. And through all that chaos, UAlbany pick up .1 off of the back of Mjolnir.
If he doesn't stop, Trents are going to be pressing F5 right now, all right? That's what they're going to be pressing. We're going to see the Raging Royal Flush coming out from Albany. Marcus going on a flank with it. Interesting play there. Pear going to pop that Eternal Bond, try and save from that Kraken impact that comes out. And now the strat ult's going to start to come out on both sides, but Albany still very much so in the driver's seat. You can see Trent with their fingers firmly on their S keys.
Yeah, they're backing it up. They haven't actually had a proper team fight since the first one. They've just been putting it in reverse here. And UAlbany, I like this. Eternix, actually one of their subs, Duelist Vanguard sub specifically, is in to fill in that DPS role. As I say that though, Quenchable playing it. Big Eye of Agamotto onto multiple members. Dark Magic lands. Does take down Amogus, and Trent University, as I say that though, Caxel's gonna come in. Nice reset for them. God of Thunder now gets dropped down. Unfortunately, no damage boost. And finally, the big bad Thor gets taken down. Trent University say the monster's gone, he's away.
Took a Kraken impact from Caxel to make the God of Thunder bleed, and now Albany have to evacuate the premises. Trent University can finally start to get their bearings, but White gonna be taking one more prize in the form of Eternix. But like I was saying, Trent can now start to get their bearings. They need to try and focus down Quenchable with some of these terror capes. If Milkmaid can try and play and anticipate the Thor play coming out, this is punishable. You do have the damage to try and stop him from getting away with murder in the front line, but you have to be ready for it when he comes in.
Yeah, especially the double terror cape. I mean, you're just vulnerable for like 3-4 seconds. You get bursted down here. As I say that though, Pick Tack, both Gambits match ultimate for ultimate. Royal Flushes coming in, but Eternix unfortunately does not get the reset with this Kraken impact. Does push back Trent University momentarily, but Milkmaid actually ends up picking up Marcus. That's a strategist down for UAlbany. As I say that though, Eternal Bond comes in from Gabe. They're looking to push the pen tempo a little bit forward. Pear responds in kind, but to Fate of Both Worlds coming in. Caxel does have that Kraken impact as well. Unfortunately, they don't need to use it. UAlbany, I don't know how they're pushing the momentum right now. Big ultimate from Pick Tack. Heaven's Retribution lands on the multiple members, and finally the Kraken impact comes in from Caxel.
See the Trooper's Fist coming out. Caxel really wants to try and confirm this KO, but he just can't do it. And looks like Albany have managed to turn this fight. We saw that Eternal Bond coming out from Gabe, and I thought that was a bit erroneous, but it forced out Pear's Eternal Bond. And so UAlbany, all they have to do is just try and live through that Strategist Ultimate exchange, get a little bit more soldiers back to the front lines, and then Trent don't have anything less offensive or defensive to close out the fight. So Albany just bide their time and bounce back when the moment is right. And now 4 minutes to try and get through point C, and you can see they're taking all of the space essentially for free as Trent are once again on the back foot, once again in disarray. Agamotto from Dark Magic gets frozen up. Good play coming out there from Pair, but it's not going to be enough to be able to stake their claim on this point just yet.
Agamotto from Amogus lands only onto Eternix, and Pictac doing a decent job controlling this guy, is actually controlling Amogus. As I say that though, does get kidnapped momentarily by White on the Wolverine. Katie does have Rage and Royal Flush available. Marcus is probably going to respond in time. It's just a matter of time here. Both Royal Flushes coming. Eternix looking for another Kraken impact. Unfortunately, last stand from White takes that down and shuts it immediately. Very well played. God of Thunder does come in. Unfortunately, does not land on anybody. Pictac does take down Pair, though. White responds in kind. Quenchable finally goes down here. Eternal Bond comes in from Gabe, and now they'll prompt Milkmaid to use their own Eternal Bond.
Oh, Gabe, though, has to fade out and use the Dagger Storm just to be able to live. Caxel hunting that Cloak and Dagger down and making them regret ever popping that ultimate in his turf. Now Trent holding on to that Kraken impact. Pair going to be coming up on that Eternal Bond. There are some tools to be able to bleed out this time bank, but 2.5 minutes to only get the cart about halfway through point C. Still kind of a tall order on both sides. You know, we're at a bit of a stalemate here right now. It's going to be who's the first to flinch.
Pictac, Heaven's Retribution available. As I say that though, eats a huge pull and the punch just in time to stop all that movement. Unfortunately, this is going to force UAlbany to back up. A nice freeze once again from Pair onto Dark Magic. And that Eye of Agamotto unfortunately does not get any follow-up. White takes down Quenchable. I mean, shout out Pair. Honestly, just a banger support right now. Does use the fate of both worlds here to keep his team alive at the moment. Trent University looking to push UAlbany back. They've won multiple team fights in a row, and that big 4.5 minute time bank that UAlbany had, it's now trickled down to a minute 45. They've got maybe 2 fights left as both Rage and Royal Flushes come in, and Eternix once again looking for the Kraken impact. Just no follow-up, no reset.
And there's no ults left online for Albany, but the last stand from White taking down Quenchable and another Feral Leap. The damage is there. He's going to follow up with 2, and with the claws flying, just tears Eternix to shreds, and Albany's offense is once again stuffed. And I want to double down, by the way, on your pear-shaped praise there with the freeze that came out onto Dark Magic, and then despite losing Milkmaid through it, still held on to that Fate of Both Worlds, did not get greedy, did not try and overinvest until it was absolutely necessary, and by that point, Milkmaid was back in the fight, so now you're building up that Eternal Bond. You can keep the ult rotations going and bleed this last 1 minute out. If you're lucky, Gabe does have a little bit of a head start. You need to try and make up that difference, but there is still hope.
Quenchable has been momentarily stopped. As I say that though, he's gonna drop the God of Thunder right onto Caxel's head, and that's Mjolnir. Big damage. Marcus as well comes in, a triple for himself. Quenchable and Marcus just took the game in their own hands. They said, you know what? Can we get to the 3rd point, guys? I put in so much work. We had 4.5 minutes, 30 seconds left in the time bank. 3-0 so far for UAlbany though.
And I got the saddest six-word story of all time. For sale, Cloak ult never used. We were able to build up to that one at the end there. Just like I said, there was hope. There was an opportunity, but it was just too fast. Albany scouted that out. They saw that there was going to be another Stratus ult coming online. Their ult tracking was perfect, and they said, we have to go now before they get an opportunity to use this ultimate comfortably. So what do? Gabe pops his ult, and then Quenchable goes in. As everybody's on the back foot trying to kite around that Eternal Bond, goes in with the God of Thunder and just claps right down on top of Trent University, and there's not a damn thing they could do about it. They were in no position to be able to parry that blow, and it was the death blow for their defensive side, but they're able to at least cut that time bank down from 4 minutes to get through point C to 30 seconds by the end of it. I think 38, so we'll round it up to 40. Still not bad, not a bad defense, but we're kind of in the same situation now with Clintar, where Trent now have to do the same as UAlbany, but better.
I think my eyes deceive me. Is Amogus gonna lock in solo tank thing right now? Is this correct? I don't know if this is the answer because triple support usually is able to get over the hump of, you know, having slower ultimate charge rate by having two tanks.
I don't like the triple strategist gambit because you're robbing Katie of ult charge, so you're not going to be able to get the Rage and Royal Flush. Marcus is going to have the advantage of that every single time, and despite the nerfs, it's still a fight-winning ultimate if it's unmatched.
And Pictac immediately takes down White, who got flung into their grave. Like, straight up thrown in and said, you know what? Good luck. Good luck, buddy. White is going to respawn here. Yeah, I don't know. This just, again, this feels like Trent University kind of throwing stuff at the wall and trying stuff like you mentioned. I just don't think this is the answer. As I say that, though, White does get a good kidnap. Pear takes down Eternix. Quenchable goes down. So, hey, maybe I don't know anything. Team compositions are fake. Heroes are real. And all you need is vibes for Trent University.
And, you know, despite it all, Amogus was still able to help Katie build up to a comparable ult charge there. Marcus is still a little bit ahead in terms of that Rage and Royal Flush, but it's not the end of the world. You can maybe kite out the first half of it and maybe get the better of the two if you're able to build up to it. A staggered KO would be nice, and White really wanted that one, but Dark Magic shuts it down, and now Trent are going to be on the back foot as Albany, with that Rage and Royal Flush, are going to be doubling down with the Omega Hurricane.
I like this. A lot of good damage here. Gambit does not fold, though. Truly, Katie is able to pop it, but not in time. And it's absolutely wasted. The Royal Flush becomes an absolute fold for Trent University as UAlbany Gold do a good job. And Ceebee, I love that you mentioned the ultimate charge cost and just the ultimate gather rate for Marcus. It is going to be perpetually 15 to 20% ahead of Katie if Trent University sticks onto this triple support.
And just like we learned at the end of point C there on Albany's attack, if they even sense the tiniest window of opportunity when it comes to an ult deficit, they will seize that moment, and they do just that. There was almost that little sliver of hope when Katie, you know, popped that Royal Flush at the end to try and live through the Omega Hurricane, but Albany, again, the follow-up was there, so they just don't let Trent get away with that. Now, aggressive use of this Fate of Both Worlds. This is good because they still have the Eternal Bond for a defensive one, but Gabe gonna go in early on and match it, and Milkmaid just gets kidnapped before we can ever pop it. What a play from Quenchable, and Trent, it just wiped before I can even finish my sentence.
And they don't have a Gambit. No one... Guys, you cannot fight into one-sided Gambit. It's not fun. It's a losing situation here. Instead, Pear is going to opt in for the Sharknado. But are they going to be able to build it up? They have a minute and a half left. I'm going to assume White is going to hold on to this Omega Hurricane until Pear... Never mind. I lied. Throw it out the window. Marcus is going to respond with the Gambit. Never folds your Rage and Royal Flush. Let's see if Pictac can respond in kind. A lot of ultimates being thrown by Trent University. It looks like it might be enough for them to go on through. Dark Magic and Quenchable, though. God of Thunder coming in, slamming down on the multiple members with the Eye of Agamotto, but White has picked up multiple members of UAlbany Gold, and maybe that's just what they needed.
And the Storm Swap paying dividends for Trent University. Quenchable on low HP is going to be able to get the health pack, and the rest of the team is going to be there to heal him up, so he's still going to be a opposition there. Good hook, though, nearly shuts him down, forcing out more mobility, forcing Quenchable to continue to backtrack, and that might be enough to secure the cap. 0.99 meters left. White with another KO, but there's enough time for the Strange TV to come out from Dark Magic. There's still a contest, but it's too little too late. He has to swap spawns.
Swap spawns there. Valiant effort from Quenchable. I mean, just did a damn good job living there, right? Really good mastery of that Thorn. It looks like UAlbany are going to swap back to this 3-tank composition. Pictac on this Venom. Playing into an Emma and a Jeff could be a little rough here. Milkmaid, 49% on that Eternal Bond. Pear does have the It's Jeff, but I'm assuming they're going to wait for the Omega Hurricane so he can get the Land Shark going. Omogus, though, Eye of Agamotto lands on the multiple members. Quenchable goes down immediately, so that's a fight win for Trent University, and they've already got this point halfway through.
Caxel going to cop that Kraken impact in the enemy spawn, taking down Gabe, and look at all of this cart progress that we're essentially getting for free. Like, there hasn't really been a good team fight here. Trent are keeping 3 on the cart the entire time. Now, yeah, Silence Seduction just to keep them out of the point here. I believe there is someone on point contesting right now. Dark Magic is taken down by the Maelstrom of Madness, but nevertheless, if we can deal with that one person on point, we can keep this cart rolling, and the Mega Hurricane looks to do just that.
Mega Hurricane has landed. Sharknado comes in as well. Unfortunately, you cannot escape the jaws of defeat here. White takes down Marcus. Pick-Tack does land a nice Feast of the Abyss to at least stall onto the cart, and Gabe has popped the Eternal Bond. Quenchable is here. God of Thunder available. Looking to go crazy here. A little bit of a stall right now, but Quenchable is just getting boxed out by the ammo right now, and Milkmaid has popped the Eternal Bond. Caxel has swapped over the Kraken Impact, and all the meanwhile, White gets taken down by Eternix. It's a 5v5. Point is still making progress. Somebody's got to contest. Dark Magic. Unfortunately, the Eye of Agamotto gets completely interrupted right in the faces of Trent University. I don't know if they're going to be able to stall out any longer. They need support. They need something, but Caxel has taken down Marcus. Dark Magic goes down as well, and Trent University should all but secure the second point. God of Thunder comes down from Quenchable, but it's too little too late.
He's still contesting. If he can find even a single KO here, it might be good enough, but there's just so much pressure, and the Carbon Crush, the roundhouse kick coming out from Katie is going to finally put him down, and mercifully Trent are going to be able to cap point B, but now with only 2 minutes to try and get that full cap, I think it's a pipe dream that they're ever going to be able to match Albany's 38-second time bank, but there is still an opportunity to get the full cap, and you know what? It doesn't matter. If you can get to OT, that is going to have to be good enough for now, but they're going to need to try and do it the same way they did their point B, and that's with staggered KOs, and White is hot on the trail right now, taking down Dark Magic, and there's the Eye of Agamotto to look for more.
Eye of Agamotto, Kraken Impact as well. Dark Magic unfortunately gets staggered, and Sonic Seduction once again. I feel like I'm watching Deja Vu because they did this for the second point. They Sonic Seduction them into spawn.
They missed everything. They just split completely onto every single side there, and even with a Sonic Seduction, like, nobody peeks it, so now Albany have all these ults, and Trent just use 3 to get nothing.
Marcus does pop the Raging Royal Flush here. Quenchable's in the back line being a menace. Let's see what they can get. Amogus does take down Pick-Tack, though, who was on that Venom, but it doesn't matter. Quenchable! 2 for the bank here, maybe a third. There we go. That's the Quenchable that we saw in the beginning of this match here, in the beginning of these rounds. Pear and White, though, do have Omega Hurricane plus the Jeff team up. This should be a fight win, all things considered.
Look at Albany. They only use the Raging Royal Flush on that one. True. They have every ult they could possibly want, so maybe we are going to see that Jeff Nato come out early on, but you have more than enough to be able to live through it and potentially even punish White for it. There's the God of Thunder and the Rage of Ultron, and they shut down the combo wholesale.
Beautiful, beautiful Rage of Ultron there. Mind you, it got that shadow buff a while ago where it does more damage to overhealth. That means that the Jeff Nato actually is super vulnerable to the Rage of Ultron. Very well played from Pick-Tack. Nice counter. Now Trent University understand that. They're like, wait, we just get absolutely bursted out. Pear has swapped over to the Luna. White has swapped over to the Wolverine. And unfortunately, there is only 15 seconds left. I don't think either of them are going to be able to charge an ultimate up before this last fight.
There's going to be the Kraken Impact for both sides, though. Caxel versus Eternix. Who has got the hot hand with this ultimate? It's going to be Eternix taking down Among Us, and Caxel has to use his just to dodge, but the Trooper's Fist knocks him out. I don't think he got the debuff onto anybody, so we're not going to see Caxel hitting any resets, but we will be seeing him hit the lights.
UAlbany have picked up multiple members. Trent University, unfortunately, on Midtown do go down here, and UAlbany Gold with a nice 3-2 finish and a clean 3-0 for them to take the series. Very well played from them, but good job from Trent University to keep it competitive in these last 2 maps.
It was a very game Trent University. Like, I liked a lot of the strategies that they started off with, but yeah, that's going to be the MVP of the entire series right there. Shake what your mama gave you there, Thor. It's going to be unquenchable on the Thor, and we do now see why this hero was banned out, but whether it was the Thor, whether it was the Bucky, the Moon Knight, the Spider-Man at times, bro was putting up LeBron numbers, and there's a nice 21 final hits for you off a 37-11 performance from the God of Thunder. And Trent, to their credit, again, they understand the ways that you can counter this one out. You do have to try and play with that Cloak and Dagger, get the Terror Capes, and punish Thor's aggression. You have to keep putting the damage on, pressuring him, forcing him to use those dashes to get out, not get in, because when he's in, that's when he's lethal. And there was some times where they were able to do just that, but once it got chaotic and they couldn't keep that God of Thunder pinned down, he was doing the very same just to them.
Yeah, and once again, I think this is just something that we've harped on and something just to bring up. I mean, UAlbany's ultimate usage was just very, very crisp. You pointed it out, right? On that last fight prior to the Omega Hurricane plus Jeff the Landshark team up, they had 3 ultimates to use: the Eternal Bond, the Rage of Ultron. They also had a God of Thunder, and PicTac just did a very good job immediately countering the Storm ultimate and the combo there. Very, very well played. They essentially thought 3 or 4 fights ahead, and that was the big difference maker, where you saw Trent University again just trying to throw everything they can to desperation almost into that fight win, and unfortunately they weren't able to get it, and that's kind of what happens. You have a desperation portal into nothing.
I think Trent learned the wrong lesson on point C. Like, they were able to get all the way through point B through stagger KOs one after the other, and they were even willing to invest, Eye of Agamotto, Kraken Impact, what have you, to make sure that they can continue that momentum. They tried to do the same on point C, but the Eye of Agamotto and the Kraken Impact, one after the other, didn't find what it needed. And as soon as the Kraken Impact came out, like I said, Albany, like ants, they just scatter. Half go this way, half go the other way. And then we see the Psionic Seduction coming down the center lane, and Albany are just like, we don't have to deal with this. We can just chill. And then suddenly that's 3 ults, no deaths, and then you come back with a 5-finger death punch of ultimates. You can withstand anything Trent have next. Like you said, 3-4 fights ahead. That is how you win games. That's how you win championships. And I know it's too early to call my shot here, but I just saw a 3-0. I'm calling UAlbany. They're going to be the champions of this semester here in Div 4. I'm like the great Bambino. I'm calling my shot here.
Bold claim that we'll have to revisit 8 to 10 weeks from now here, but
hopefully I won't have to eat my words.
Yeah, hopefully not. UAlbany, though, take the 3-0. They're up 1-0 in Division 4 over Trent University. I do feel like Trent, we may see this matchup again between these two teams, because that was a very, very competitive last 2 maps. And I think if they get their ultimate usage down, if they understand the economy, understand, maybe don't overinvest into their spawn, this is probably a different match. But again, shout out to Quenchable, arguably the MVP of the series. I agree with you, Ceebee. I think it's very tough to make the argument for anyone else. I would have maybe given the nod to Dark Magic, but off of that, Magneto did look a little bit dicey. So Quenchable gets the nod for me. Very, very well played.
If not Quenchable, for me, it probably would have been Marcus. A toss up between Marcus and Gabe, because I gave major props to the back line. And one of these things that you see that separates like good teams from great teams, it's an intelligent back line. And Albany they've got it. All right, if they keep this momentum up, if they can keep bolstering Quenchable, setting him up for success, they're good. But it takes a village to do that, and it's a very strong village over there in upstate New York.
Yeah, well, with that series being concluded, we do have a bit of a longer break, 30-minute break, so you guys can go pick up some dinner, hopefully maybe a late night snack depending on what time zone you're in. But we are going to take a short break as we head into our second series at around 7 PST 10 EST. Don't go anywhere, or maybe go somewhere. Use the bathroom, go get some lunch, dinner, whatever fancies you, as we'll be back with our second series of the night on the first week of NECC Marvel Rivals.